What a blessing.
That was really great to hear their story and their journey, to know that Noah's coming for my son.
I love that. Thank you so much. And let's give her a round of applause for sharing with us. Thank you. And if you can come up and you can grab your passes. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, I am going to hand it over to the Onyx family. Thank you.
Testing. I guess this is the time. You're probably expecting right now for me to share with you my name, our title, what qualifies us to sit here and to share with you today. So this is the time where people would tell, what our relationships are, what we do on a daily basis. I'm gonna do it a little different. What if I did not tell you my name or who I am or what I do? What if I decided to just let you know I am a tree? And these are my fellow trees. In fact, you're a tree. Interesting about trees are so diverse. Some have very thick trunks and their roots go deep. Other trees, they're like vines and they spread along the ground. Other trees have branches and they reach out very wide. And the interesting thing about trees is we all bear fruit, right? And some of us are mango trees.
Some of us are apple trees.
Some of us come from grapevines. Some of us are orange. And some of us are banana trees.
Right. However, wait, what are you doing, Shane? What are you doing?
I'm eating my fruit.
No, you don't understand. Trees never eat their own fruit. The food for trees are generally like the nutrients in the ground or sunshine, rainwater, but trees never eat their own fruit. Trees are almost like symbiotic. We trees, we will give off like oxygen, and that's what humans will take in. And then humans give off their carbon monoxide, but they're symbiotic. But we never eat our own
So
fruit.
basically, I gotta give it to someone, like in exchange.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's trade fruits. Yeah, I'm in the banana. Yeah.
Wait. I just thought we were trees. Trees don't eat their own fruit, like what Dad said, but I don't remember them giving the fruit to other trees as well.
Right. Well, the thing about it is, Shiloh, is that you're taking this very seriously, but I was just using it as sort of like a metaphor. It was, like trees are. I was trying to use it as a metaphor to do a teachable lesson to say that education is like the source that education and homeschooling is like the source of like the way that we feed and give nutrition organically to our children. And then they are able to serve others. So, like me and your mom, we went to a school and their motto was enter to learn, depart to serve. So how a tree does not eat its own fruit and it gets its source from others, we also are like trees. That's what I was trying to do, Shallow. You're being very technical here, but we are also, we go and get our education so that we can serve others. It's not for us primarily to eat. Our education, what God has placed inside of us, is to give to others. That's basically what it is.
I'm not following that. I mean, I get what you're trying to say, but the metaphor is a little bit kind of weird because we're trees, but now we're eating each other. It's kind of cannibalistic. I mean, that's why I'm kind of going to university this year. I'm just gonna have my clarity and my IRL friends because.
Okay, I got it. You're using this platform to let people know that you didn't like homeschooling. That's fine, Charlie. You win. I'll just introduce us as human beings, okay? Good job. And enjoy university when it comes.
I will.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anyhow, guys, my name is Marthel. I am the COO of Onyx CTR Media, and this is kind of what we do. Anyone that knows us on YouTube or Instagram, we take our daily life situations within our family, and we try to create edutainment to make people laugh, to make people be inspired. But we do that through entertainment. And we would have never become the Onyx family who we are today. We have millions of subscribers. When you collect over all of our channels, we have over 8 million subscribers and over 5 billion views worldwide. We're on Disney Plus, we are on Hulu, we're on Peacock, so we've gone mainstream. And this is what we do. And what many people don't understand is that we would have never gotten to where we are today if it wasn't for homeschooling. We have homeschooled our children their entire life. I think the girls had about 1 year where they had regular traditional education, but secret, Shiloh has never had that, and so he's a little bit, you'll hear his story later. You'll get his take. But we wanted to be real with you guys because when it comes to homeschooling, everyone is going to have a different experience.
Right.
There is no perfection, and so we're going to give you the raw, real deal because there is no guarantees in homeschooling, but it's worthwhile because the way that we see things is we see things like, it's almost like nutrition and food sources. If you're eating organic, then you're getting all the nutrition. Education is very much the same way. We are now putting whatever we want inside of our bodies and we're calling it food. So we could wake up in the morning and we decide that we want to pop a great Jolly Rancher in our mouth. Now that becomes our food. It has absolutely no sustenance. Education, we realize at some given point in time, me and Rita realize, wait a second, our education system is becoming very synthetic, it's becoming very processed. And what we thought would be that homeschool would be that answer for us, so that our process would be more organic, it would be a more holistic experience for our children, so that they will be able to get something that was more sustainable. And so we want to share that story with you today. And so my name is Bertha, like I said, I'm the COO. This is my boss, Rita, she's the COO, and you'll get to know her and how we developed as the Onyx family through homeschooling. There's also Sinead. So why don't you guys just share a little bit about yourselves and who you are?
Hi, my name is Rita from LA. I don't know if anybody here is from the West Coast. Okay. Oh, okay, great. I was thinking if I was going to have anybody here, but yes. So I'm from LA. I went to Oakwood HBCU, met my husband, and started off with biology, full scholarship. I was going to be the first doctor in the family, and I ended up being a YouTuber, which I guess I'll get into actually. But on that journey, on that path with homeschooling, I also was basically learning about myself, which I'm sure you guys can relate to because, with parenting, you learn a lot about yourself, and then with that one-on-one with homeschooling, you will learn a lot. Not just about your child, but about yourself. And so we kind of went through this journey together. And right now, I am the CEO and the founder of Onyx Media, which is our main company. And then, of course, from that branched off other companies, which we'll talk about. And of course, our brand, like you said, which we now have a significant platform.
Hi, I'm Sinead. I'm the second born. The oldest, Shalom, she wasn't here today because she became sick, but she sends her regards. I am the second oldest, and I have been an entrepreneur content creator since I was 16. I've been homeschooled basically my whole life. I only went to school for like 1 year-ish, and I basically am a full-time gamer, musician, content creator right now, and excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Shasha. I'm a tree. No, just kidding. I'm a human being. And I am the youngest girl here. I'm the head editor of our YouTube channel. I never would have thought I would have done that. I mean, being homeschooled my whole life. I thought I was going to be a nurse too, but God led me in a whole nother direction. I'm also an actor in our YouTube channel, and right now, currently I am studying AI. Of course, all y'all know ChatGPT and stuff, so we're trying to get into that industry and getting into coding and programming, so that's what I do.
Hi, I'm Shiloh, I'm 18, and I'm basically the actor of the Onyx family. And I've been homeschooled my whole life, and I would have never thought my life would come to this moment where I'm just doing YouTube and I'm just here, just talking with you all about my experience. And after all my life being homeschooled and graduating last year, I'll be going to university this year and majoring in computer science and being a minor in marketing as well. So, yeah.
So that is the introduction. That's kind of who we are. For those that don't know us and for those that know us, that's kind of like a background. So I was not homeschooled. So how did we get to this place where we started homeschooling? I was an ordained minister for over 17 years, so we were not the famous YouTubers, we were actually pastor, first lady, and pastor's kids. And we were looking at the atmosphere around and we were looking at the climate and we're just like, no, the education system seems like it's going down the direction of very processed. And the thing about homeschooling is that a lot of times people think that homeschooling is just simply keeping your kids at home and educating them at home. But homeschooling is far more than just a place in which you are giving education to your children. Homeschooling is a mindset, and it is really placing the home back in the child's life and in the educational process, as opposed to where their body is. It's a mindset that we're placing the home back. That's how we felt. And so we realized that a child needs to grow up learning more than math, learning more than English. A doctor can become a doctor, but if a doctor is becoming a doctor only for the money, then that is almost like a tree trying to eat its own fruit. You know, that's not why we become what we become. We don't become a lawyer just for the money or just for what we can get from it. The idea, the concept of true organic education is for us to serve others. It's for us to give back to society and for society to become, it's like a foundation for society.
Right.
So we wanted our children to be a foundation for
I feel
society.
like it's definitely about finding your passion as well, because I think sometimes it's hard in the public education system to find your passion because you're in that same kind of routine with, you know, the math, English, history, everything like that, and you don't necessarily get to explore all these other skills. Like in homeschooling, when you can set your own schedule and everything, you can actually explore these other interests.
Yeah, so since I was homeschooled, homeschooling helped me learn how to be independent and explore my interests. So when I was younger, I was able to teach myself skills like gymnastics and like writing, and I would be able to explore that without having to, I don't know, feel like I was boxed into just one thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, I think for homeschool, for me, homeschooling has, as a woman especially, I kind of relate it to dieting. You kind of try to find the right program, like you try to find the right diet, like maybe this one will stick. So, you know what, maybe this one. And then you start to realize that it has to just be a lifestyle of learning, that you will never stop learning, you're never going to find the exact right program, but it's about your mindset as you're going towards it, because the world is changing. It's like thinking, for example, like the AI, that we'll get to some limit with the AI and then that's what all we'll learn. No, it's going to continue to get more and more and more progressive, and life will continue to keep moving forward. And homeschooling, it keeps changing. So for us, we tried structured, then we tried not so structured, then we tried, okay, what are your interests? And then we tried, you know what, why don't we just replicate school and, you know, we'll try this program.
I do have a question. Right now, homeschooling is so popular. Like, you guys don't understand. Back in the day, when I would say I was homeschooled, people would be like, what? You're homeschooled? What is that? What? But like, right now, it's so normalized. Did you guys know what you were getting into back then? Because there was not as much homeschooling resources as in these days.
I mean, we had Google, right? We had the internet.
Right.
But I mean, oh my goodness, how incredible it is it? See, I'm done with homeschooling now. He's 18, he's about to go to college. How incredible, though, if I had ChatGPT. Like, it would have been over.
Oh my goodness.
It would have been over.
Oh my goodness.
Like, oh my goodness.
Right.
But for me,
But we were
had,
struggling.
like, you know, for curriculum or try to do piecemeal with the internet. It was just so hard.
We were really struggling because I remember we first started off with a program called BJU. I don't know how many of you know BJU. It was just as old school as it is right now. It was like 90s based, almost late 80s. So we had to battle through it. But I just didn't feel competent, and I just want to be honest with you. I did not feel competent to be able to run this thing or to do this thing. At the beginning point when we first began, Rita was in nursing school, and so a lot of the curriculum and going to the board of education and enrolling the kids, a lot of that fell on me. I was a pastor, I had a little bit more time. Rita was still trying to establish herself, and so we were working together, but a lot fell on me, and I really did not feel competent. And in fact, I remember that I would take our children to like prayer meeting, and I would be praying hard, like, God, like, what am I doing? I'm gonna mess up my children, and I would try to bribe them with pizza at prayer meeting, so that after prayer meeting they would be like, oh, Dad, are we gonna get pizza? And so they would be in the back of our van. We used to have a Dodge Caravan. We used to have, when it first had the DVDs flipped down, and I'd put on SpongeBob for them. I'd put on all their cartoons, and they'd just be like so happy. But I was feeling guilty because I felt like I was not really giving them an experience.
We had a Honda Odyssey.
Oh, Honda Odyssey, yeah, Honda Odyssey.
I think that's so relatable. I think that every homeschooling family has those doubts, and it has those ups and downs of like, am I doing this right? You know what I mean?
Which kind of parlays into, I think, one of the main reasons why we were invited is really for our entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship and homeschooling really
Go hand in hand.
they really align very well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, I was in college to do biology, and then I ended up getting married early and having kids. So then I thought, oh, I know, I'll be a nurse. And well, I'll do nursing, and then I can work while I'm in med school, and then, everything will be fine. It's fine. I have 4 kids, I'm exhausted, and I'm in school, but that's okay. It's all gonna work out. And the more that I'm in it, the more I'm realizing, like, wow, I really hate this. Like, I do not like nursing. No offense to any nurses here. I just know I wasn't called for it.
And I was scared because I hate needles, and I was like, she was like, oh, you're gonna be a nurse when
Right,
you go to college.
because it's so practical that even though I hated it, I was thinking, man, they should probably do this.
So we were setting up our children to be all nurses.
Yeah, because like,
Because it was so simple.
I was constantly able to find jobs, I was getting work, so it was like, well, okay, so I hate this, doesn't matter. I mean, I went from an aide to an LPN, to an RN, to an NP. I just kept going up and up, and then I was at that level where I was like, okay, am I gonna go to med school? But I didn't, because as an NP, I started to see how things really were, and I said, nope, this is not for me. I already know I'm not gonna spend $100,000 and then be really stuck. But then I was like, what am I gonna do with my life? I went and did all these things, and I was supposed to be this doctor in the family, and I was just really stressed. And then one day I was just looking at YouTube, and I was looking at these vloggers and these other people, and I'm like, I want that life. And I said to the children one day, I'm like, would you guys like to do, it's just some family skits. What's the worst that can happen? We just make memories. Because at the time, I had multiple jobs as an MP. I was working from like 7 a.m., come home at 6, take an hour off, and then chart till midnight. That was like my daily schedule. And it was exhausting. My son had told me maybe over the past year, oh, I want to be like this YouTuber. And you tend to just say, okay, that's nice.
I don't know if you guys remember
like
Evan
what's that gonna do? Like, I don't know, what is this YouTube thing? But now that I'm miserable, now I'm looking at it like, well, maybe we should do this, right? And like I said, I brought them in. This was at a time though of so much change. He had left his pastoral job to follow me to Florida. Not follow me, but go with me to Florida. And I was supposed to start this medical company with these doctors, and I was about to really lock in. And this was kind of like that final moment. I had been through everything in nursing, trying to find that field where I loved it. I worked in everything. I was a professor. I worked in the community. I worked with the neurology. I worked with, you name it, I did it. And when I was in Florida, this was the last thing. It was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna be the CEO of this company with these doctors. That's gonna be the ticket and I'm gonna love it. And as I was getting that job ready, I was already like, oh my goodness, I hate this too. So now what? Now he's left his ministry job. He knew. He told me before we left, Rita, you're gonna hate this. And I'm like, no. This one I'm gonna love. Wrong. And right when, I was at my breaking point because I was juggling, trying to get that job up and all my other jobs that I already had. I was looking at these YouTube families and I'm like I said, I want that job. I want that life. And I brought the kids in and I was like, guys, what do you think about these skits? Now, I didn't want to tell him yet because I was like, he's going to be like, I did not leave ministry to go on to do some skits on YouTube. But he surprised me because he walks in as I'm telling the kids and he goes, what's going on? And I'm like, uh-oh. And I tell him and then he says, okay, let's go. Now, Ken, you remember, I didn't know what was actually happening behind the scenes, because you remember you were saying you were already praying.
Right, so behind the scenes, I had, when I had left ministry, I knew that she didn't like being a nurse. And the reason why we're sharing our story as well as our children's story is because what we realize now from the back end looking back is that we are also alumnus of homeschoolers. Because our life do not look anything like it used to be. Because as we committed to homeschooling our children, we ended up getting involved in the homeschooling process. I am nothing like what I used to look before. I mean, even the way that I dressed up for you guys because they said it was going to be like, it's going to be like a dress, semi-dress, casual, but I'm just, my hair is all braided up. I never even had a fade. I was a pastor. I had that pastor's cut. No fade, no jeans. Like, it was serious, But it's been a huge transformation for me. And so what we're talking about is how, because they were homeschooled, it gave us the opportunity to look at their passions, the giftedness that God placed inside of them, and then we were aligned with God's will for us. And that's why we introduce ourselves like we're like trees, because there's special giftedness that is in each side of us that is there, not so much for us to eat, but how are we going to serve? And so this is what we ended up being. Little did I know that where we were heading, and I had been praying about this, where we were heading was my platform was going to go from maybe a couple hundred to a couple thousand congregants that I was speaking to and that our family were inspiring to over 5 billion views worldwide. I preached faith, but I did not have the faith to imagine that that's what God was looking for me. So when she told me she would like to launch her nursing, I'm thinking my life is over. I'm going to leave ministry, I'm going to leave my marriage and family practice for her to go to Florida, start a company that she's going to tell me, I don't want to do this anymore. And then she's thinking, oh my goodness, I am going to tell this man that he's leaving ministry to be a clown on YouTube. So she's really scared. But God had been preparing me for a change. I didn't know what it was going to be, but he was definitely preparing me for a change. So here's what happened. Fast forward, not only do we have a platform where we're speaking and we're inspiring millions of families worldwide, my children that I was so worried about starting homeschooling and teaching them English and the fundamentals, we are now able to sit around tables. My daughter, she dreamed of becoming an animator because of the cartoons that I used to put in front of her in the pizza. I'm surprised nobody wanted to be a pizza parlor. And now, fast forward later, she's sitting down around a table with a lady named Doreen Spicer, who is the producer of The Proud Family. And she's sitting around the table with the president of Nickelodeon, who is also the producer of Hey Arnold, some of the shows that they used to watch, SpongeBob movie, and they are creating their own cartoon of our family together. She is writing the episodes, my older daughter is writing the episodes with these world-renowned producers. And my daughter in the end has the rights to all the music in all 24 episodes because she's writing the music, because we began the process of developing the giftedness that God was placing, the natural giftedness that God was placing in our children's lives. And so here I am so worried about failure when God is like, I got this. When you commit to homeschooling, you're committing to a process where you're letting go and allowing the natural giftedness to come out. And we did some deals with Matthew McConaughey. We've worked with several stars in Hollywood, and one of the books that we were helping him promote, he was talking about how we are to be the target. So most people, they come to life and they're like, okay, I'm gonna have my children, I'm gonna enroll them in this and this, and we are gonna aim at this target, and this is what you're gonna become. You're gonna become a doctor, you're gonna become an engineer, or you're gonna become this. So you take your arrow and you aim. But what Matthew was saying is that it's more organic than that. It's not so synthetic, it's more organic than that. We are supposed to be the targets. And what we found is that when we took on the concept that we are the attractors, it wasn't us looking to become, but others were pointing their arrow at us and wanting us. And so it's a different kind of mindset to know that you are the attractor as opposed to you trying your best to become what you want to be. You now become an attractor and others want you. And so we had, on any given day, we have had Dr. Fauci call us, him and his team, and like, we need the Onyx family to come and help us get this thing together for the nation because we're struggling here. So we get a call from Dr. Fauci. Next thing you know, that gentleman, George Floyd, they got themselves in a situation. It was during the election time here that was coming up. We get a call from Biden and Kamala. Onyx family, we need you guys. We need you guys to rock the vote, or we need you guys to help us. We try not to be political, so we had to turn them down. However, they invited us to the White House to be a part of their inauguration service to show, bipartisanship. And so we became attractors rather than this is what I want, this is what I want to be. This mindset of homeschooling, you now become attractors. You don't even have to call anyone, they will call you.
Yeah, the great thing about homeschooling is that one of the things I've noticed is that it really nurtures that part of the brain for curiosity, self-discipline, flexibility, all of those things that you need for entrepreneurship.
Right, I feel like that homeschool is like learning how to learn. Like you're learning how to continue learning in life. You don't just stop learning. When you're homeschooled, it's like you don't just stay in like the math, English subjects, all that kind of stuff, but you're learning everything in life. You get to learn like how to handle your life. You're learning all these different skills and hobbies. And you're taking that and you're learning, like, you're able to think ahead. You're like thinking, okay, how can I turn AI into something? How can I turn my passion into something? And you just continue learning.
Oh yeah, because we started off as just being digital online content creators, but we've had online retail stores, we've written books, we
were able to parlay our skills of being independent into life skills. So we were able to not just do YouTube, but also get into starting slime companies, going into writing books. Our family was able to publish books and were able to sell thousands worldwide, homegrown. And I would have never thought this because, see, back in the day, homeschool always has such a bad rep of like, oh, if you're homeschooling, you're setting your kids up for failure, but really, you're setting your kids up for greatness if you're homeschool. I would have never known that I would become an author and selling thousands of books worldwide. I would have also never known I would be getting into bigger industries like AI and coding and programming and learning these skills. And it all started from the home of learning how to become independent and learning how to make these skills by yourself. You're not just relying on a teacher telling you do this, do this, do this. You're setting your own schedule. You're learning how to do it yourself.
So how about socializing though? Because I know that's something that Shiloh or you know.
I feel like honestly everybody has a different experience with socializing. So I'll share my experience and then I guess Shiloh can share his. Because I think that everybody really assumes that, you know, with homeschooling, there's the stereotype that it's like,
Oh, we're shy.
we're shy, introverted. And I think in general, everybody kind of goes through that in a period of time. But I think for me, my experience was that I took that and it actually pushed me to become more social. I actually was able to instead take that and be like, I'm being intentional with my relationship now. And people that I want to be friends with, I'm going to be intentional with these friendships. I wasn't just thrown in a classroom with a bunch of people and just, you know, just talking to those people and I kind of only stick to talking to those people. I'm actually reaching out to people. And so I actually was able to develop more confidence in myself and a more genuine confidence where it wasn't about trying to fit into a crowd. It wasn't about trying to be like my peers. But I was constantly always standing out in a way, especially being a pastor's kid and being homeschooled. It was a double whammy. People were like, oh, she must be real introverted, real shy.
You know what's interesting? You said something very interesting when I was talking to you about this topic. You said that a lot of students will follow the same people in the same school, like maybe a group of 30 people that were in your class for like 8 years, all the way from kindergarten to grade 8. So they really are not being truly socialized. You're just talking to the same people every year, and that was my experience. And you said, but that wasn't me. Every space was an opportunity for me to meet someone new, and then I had to really create skills. And I would
I would find ways to make friends. I would go to these social events. I would go to church activities. I would meet new colleagues in my own industry, in the gaming industry, or with other YouTubers, and intentionally reach out versus sticking to what was comfortable with me. You know.
Shiloh, you have another perspective when it comes to homeschooling. So what was your experience like growing up, the models that we shared with you, socializing, what did that look like to you?
Well, in my younger years, I basically had a homeschooling curriculum, which was more a curriculum based, where it was structured, and you mentioned PJU, where it was pre-recorded videos and textbooks that you would just follow through. So instead of it being IRL teacher teaching you, it would just be a pre-recorded video of a teacher following through along the textbook. And then I was doing that for a time, which is pretty good because when you're younger, you need some structure in your life. And I didn't like dive headfirst into passion at first because, you know, I still needed the basics. There was also this website called IXL, which also had my courses to take with math, English, history, and science and everything. And what I kind of liked about that is that every time you would complete one of the courses, you would get like a digital prize that you could keep in like a digital library. And I like prizes, so I kind of like kept it going for a good while. But as I got older, it was kind of starting to like get a little bit dry, and I felt like I wanted to do a lot of it, like more stuff as well, more on like a passion base now. And so I was a YouTuber. I had a gaming channel, and I was playing all these games like Roblox and Minecraft and everything. And I'm like, man, I kind of really want to know how these games are being made, and that got me into the computer science industry and coding. And I asked, my parents if we could sign me up for coding tutorship, and I was also watching a lot of anime as well, because this was also in quarantine as well, so got me into learning languages like Japanese as well. And so I even signed up for Japanese tutoring as well. But parents being parents, they're like, okay, but you should also have like an instrument as well for tutoring. So I actually signed up for piano and cello. And piano, I actually liked piano. Like, it was actually good, and it was really simple to learn and everything. Cello, on the other hand, I did not like tuning that thing, and it was like huge and bulky, and I was actually kind of glad we stopped doing like all that stuff. But essentially, I actually really liked the passion base because when you're homeschooled, you can go at your own pace. You can go as fast as you want, learning a lot of stuff, and as slow as you want, taking your time as well. See, it's not like in like public school where like you have to follow in like a set amount of time and everything. So I basically learned everything like really quick, and that got me to graduate at the age of 17. And I graduated like really early, like last year. And now I get to figure out what I want to do next for my life. And so I really could have went the path that my sisters went, which is stayed into entrepreneurship and staying in the business. But as I want to do that as well, I'm deciding to take an alternate goal right now and go to university this year. And because while I did homeschool and everything for my whole life, and it was good and all, the social part kind of was a little bit of like something that kind of bothered me. But
what do you think the difference was for you versus your sisters?
Yeah, well, the thing is, my sisters went to public school for just a year before they did homeschool for the entirety of their schooling.
Well, they also did private school for like a hot second.
Oh, yeah.
But then
Well,
Half a semester.
yeah.
the teacher started
Yeah, well, essentially.
attacks, and then it was not the right.
Yeah. Well, essentially, they got the taste of basically schooling and how it felt. Meanwhile, I never stepped foot in a public school ever. So I basically am going to university this year just to really figure out like just the average schooling experience and to really just meet people, you know, as well.
Right, because you have a lot of online friends and stuff, and
Yeah.
you have some IRL ones, but I know
Of
that you
course.
want to see the experience of
Keep
seeing
going around
people out there.
IRL, like, when we were all around the same age. IRL in real life.
In real life, friends.
In real life friends.
We all have children, I'm sure. We all, like, we all know what you
I get lost when you talk.
But I wouldn't really worry too much about not having friends in real life as well. Like there are ways to get IRL friends.
Right, but I really want the experience of like the
Sorry.
daily seeing them kind of
Of
thing.
course,
So
yeah.
that's why he's choosing to go to university. I feel like it's also different because like being surrounded by 3 girls, and it's like we kind of always friends, and we were friends too, but it's like it's different. No boys.
No boys
I
allowed.
do think that there's definitely, and I don't know if you all have noticed this with maybe your children or nieces, nephews, whoever you're from, or students. I do think there's a little bit difference with boys in homeschooling. Like my cousins, they were also homeschooled, and my cousin, my female cousin, honestly, she loved it. She liked it. But my male cousin, oh my goodness, he hated it. Like he was so mad at me for homeschooling my children. I can't believe you would do that to your children. What? And I'm like, guys, don't worry, it'll be different. But it kind of wasn't. Like Shiloh, we told him that this talk is not a complaint fest. Give people hope. But to be honest, he really didn't like it. Let's just be real.
And we want to be real with you guys because like you're gonna go into this, so you're.
I believe that part of it is this is where my deep regret I have. It is that I was not a part of a co-op because I was moving around. We were moving around a lot because whether it was about being pastor's wives, so we were at the seminary for a bit, then we went just
No,
all
what's a
over.
co-op?
What?
Co-op.
See what I mean? She doesn't even know what a co-op is. So they all know, but it's just more of like I'll explain to you after. But the
Group of
point is
families
that
that come together.
I feel very guilty for not doing that because when I hear all the wonderful things that you guys are doing in these co-ops, I just really feel like maybe he would have had such a different experience. But then he was also homeschooled partly during the pandemic, which greatly impacted. So they had the double whammy of being a pastor's kid and then being homeschooled. He had now the pandemic, which then he was already homeschooled, so it was kind of an easy transition. But he also just felt that there's just a generational loneliness that I think we're probably going to start. We're going to see even more with this
With pandemic
It's
babies.
interesting though, because after the pandemic, homeschooling exploded.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think even more now than ever, most people are homeschooling now.
Right, I think there's probably more co-ops, more resources now than ever, actually.
Yeah.
So in a way, you can actually be glad for the pandemic because now it's making homeschooling like really progress.
Yeah.
And making a lot of people connect too. So yeah.
I thought you were gonna say make it great again.
But yeah, that's definitely one of my regrets. And right now, though, I have felt though, through our homeschooling journey, through our entrepreneurship journey, which again, like I said, it all aligns because you have to kind of find your way yourself. There's not someone right there that is gonna, even in homeschool, we still have to depend on our children to do the work. You know, if they don't want to do it, you know, you could just be struggling. So you have to have a self-discipline. And now, with our entrepreneurship, you know, you have the youngest, these two right here, they are getting into making, you know, software as a service. So we have this tech part of our company. She has a very popular gaming branch. Our older child, she has more of a nostalgia branch. She loves that. You know, I have actually transitioned into more being an author, not for children's books, this is more adult. And, you know, and my husband, he's also being an author, but more nonfiction for our study and, our story, and then, yeah, we do more public speaking. So it has really helped us. During the time that we homeschooled, I would say that everything aligned for us because of the lifestyle that we lived. Had we not been homeschooling, I don't even think we would have been able
No, I don't think we would be where we are.
some of the things that we've done with our brand. And so, but not everybody needs to be in a brand, not everybody needs to homeschool because one day they're going to be these big YouTubers. But what it does do is that I do believe that we all have that special mission, that special purpose that we're all led to do. And I think homeschooling prepares people in a much greater level for that purpose and mission. But I always maintain, it's not always for everyone, and you can't feel guilty for the times you can't do it. Sometimes circumstances require you put your child in school for a bit, sometimes in a hybrid, sometimes, you know, you can do it yourself. That's why we tried. We mentioned, we tried a couple of times to put them in school because of how busy our schedule was. And I remember this one time we put them in school and we were like, great, look at them, we need to get the bus experience. This is gonna be so fantastic for them. They come back the first day and they're like,
asking what is the purpose of the middle finger?
Mommy, what is this finger? And Mommy, what is this? Like, you're passing around this photo. Well, done. We're no more bus. And then later on in the year, it was like, oh yeah, this person's bullying me at school. It's like, okay, you know what? No, we're just gonna have to adjust the schedule and come back home.
Now we did feel good though, because they were at the top of their class. Like I remember Sinead, she was at the top of her class along with this other young man, and they were competing over their multiplications in grade 2. And I was just like, yes, my daughter is at the top of the class. I had failed grade 11 math like 4 times, so I really felt like I was gonna mess up my kids. I really felt as a teacher, and it was like a win for me. It's like, yes, you know. And then afterwards, after we took them out of the public school because of the whole bus ride and everything, we tried a private school for half a semester, and the teacher ended up having a panic attack on one of the first weeks or something like that. Left the kids by themselves.
He had to take her to the ER.
I had to take her to the ER.
And then all the kids were in this classroom by themselves.
By themselves.
My husband comes in, and we were like, okay, back to home.
Back to home.
So it's not like we didn't try, because again, we tried to listen, you know, to our children, like, oh, we want this experience. We're like, okay, let's try. It just never seemed to work out for us. And again, prepared us for the things that we have been doing, because now, with our brand, we had to go back and forth to LA all the time, you know, for different projects. Like he said, we worked with Kenan Thompson and all these other people. So we have to be very flexible. And then of course now it's parlayed into our entrepreneurship. And even though he's going to college, he's still an entrepreneur at the same time. But yeah, the college experience, like they chose not to even do that while he did. And what we try to be very, very, very flexible. And so I just want to let you guys know that whether you're however old your children are, it will work out. It will work out. Because trust me, we had the most unideal, no co-op, problems when we tried to put them in school, pandemic, which probably a lot of you also.
I entered university on an academic probation, and I was the teacher for most of the first half of their life.
I was working all the time, you know, it was very hard to like come in and just see what they're doing.
I think what you're saying is like, it's not, perfection is definitely not the goal, because even if you put them in school, the the public school or private school, that's not perfect either, but people, you know, they get through it. And that's the same way you gotta see
Right, the
homeschooling.
homeschooling journey is going to be full of ups and downs.
Ups and downs like any other experience, and you have to be okay with that. And it might feel harder, more stressful because it's on you, but I think that is definitely something that you have to have more confidence in yourself with.
Right? So that's basically our journey.
Yeah, that's Alan's family journey. Not perfect, but I don't know. God just seems to take the imperfection and make something out of it, and that's our story, and we're sticking to it. So.
And I applaud all parents who go into the homeschooling journey. It's hard, guys, but we're going to do it. You can do it.
Guys, let me tell you, this is how a success story, because they, at least they, no about him, they said they want to homeschool their kids. So
That's definitely the homeschooler.
I'm sorry.
Take a question.
Oh, question. Do you have any questions?
Oh, wait.
Hi, everyone. I'm surprised at myself in asking this question, to be honest. I'm a film and television producer. I've produced anything you think of, I've produced it. My husband works in the music industry. We've seen the worst of the worst. Our oldest daughter, every day, asks us to be on TV. And every day, we're like, I don't know, because of our experience. We have every resource available to really help her do what she wants to do. She's 3 years old, and every day. Yesterday I came home, and I get emotional because yesterday I came home, my mom had been literally recording her all day performing because she asked her to. And so we are people of faith, and the reason I think that we are so nervous about it is because everyone is not for your family, everyone is not for your children. And I am so terrified to put my baby out there like that. But I know that we could do it for her in a way that most people couldn't. So what gave you the courage to do it?
Okay. First of all, I totally get your emotions about it. And I gotta tell you, you were built for this moment. Your daughter would not have that passion for it if it wasn't placed in her. You gotta trust that. Trust that God put it there for her. And then trust the platform that God knew the sensitivity that you and your husband would have. So he said, okay, I'm gonna actually put them in the industries to prepare so that they would know all the pitfalls versus maybe another family who had your same child, but then they weren't even in the industry. And then they would be just left for the wolves. So number one, you're already prepared. For us, one of the things that we did from the very beginning, when I sat them down and I told them, okay, you want to, what do you think about doing the skits? I said, I'm only going to do it though if you promise me this one thing. You will not look at comments. I said, you'll do our videos, you'll perform, you'll have fun, because you're not trying to win everybody over. You know, I said, not if Jesus couldn't do it, we can do it. So you have to understand that just like how you enjoy the movies, and you enjoy your actors, and you don't expect them to talk to you, you know, do we go to, I don't know, Oprah, and I'm hoping Oprah talks to me? No, like, I just, you know, we'll still watch her stuff and we'll still interact. But at the end of the day, that's how you have to treat it. That you are not obligated to answer anybody's questions, no comments, no DMs, anything.
Or entertain trolls.
Or entertain trolls, but you have to also trust that it's actually going to build resiliency. You know, you're going to be surprised, because if your daughter is already, you know, showing that passion and showing that talent, then God also equipped her with the strength to be able to do it. And yes, there'll be ups and downs, and there'll be challenges, but follow that, because the last thing you want to do is to hold her back, have that regret, and then she says, you never let me go, and then she lives a life that was not even as, like, her light was dull, when you can have it shine. So I support doing it.
Questions?
So, I've been watching y'all since the pandemic. My kids love y'all. We grew up watching y'all and the Google Gagas. So, you know, that was like a whole little thing. What do you recommend for as far as like lighting and like marketing or like editor for YouTube? Because my son is in 3rd grade. He's already uploading YouTube channels, but I'm trying to get it where it's not so much background and like the media, the social media information you're going to be putting out there. So what type of supplies or a software do you use to like filter his words?
Well, that sounds like a Shasha.
Oh, I feel like that, honestly, we started with an iPhone. We literally started with just an iPhone. That's all we had. And we just over time got better. So whatever, and iPhones are great quality these days, so even starting with just that is great. I don't know what kind of content he does, but it's like, I think that if you could just find what works, the free stuff right now, because you don't have to immediately, nobody has to immediately jump into the most expensive things. You can just start with what you have right now, and people love authenticity. So I would say that if you could start with an iPhone, do that, and he could do some research on cameras he could eventually get in the future, because cameras change over time, so I can't say necessarily right now. Like anything Canon could work and things like that, but start with a camera, start with a...
And a ring light.
And a ring light. Camera and a ring light, you're good with the
You
content.
guys took the first step, which is just starting, which is even the hardest step. So I want to congrats on that. And yeah.
Right.
Oh, I have another question. So he's playing Roblox, so he played Roblox on the phone, but he wanted to put it on the YouTube. So I'm trying to see how that works. He already made it on the game, so he
If
has
he's-
2 phones, right?
Yeah, 2 phones would work for that, because he can record the screen on one phone, and then on the other phone he can record his face, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are the 2 gamers, so I mean, like literally we began with the very minor things. So doing it and just starting and believing in yourself, whether you think you're a failure and you can't handle it, or whether or not, just starting is half the battle. I mean, most people that have made it, every single one of them started it, and the people that have not made it, most of them are never started it. So starting is the most important thing. Fail while you're going. Fail while you're going until you stop failing.
Fail forward.
Fail forward.
Any other questions?
My question is, are there times where there's content that you do not post because it didn't look good enough, or too long, or too short? And then I have another question after that too.
Tons. We have like a whole library of content that we did not post.
Yes, when back in the day, we don't really do as much right now, but we did like comedy skits. So we would, we do our skits.
Sometimes we would show a video, because before we post our YouTube video, we show our parents.
If they don't laugh,
we
we're
stop
like,
them.
We rework the whole skit, and then we show them again, and they're laughing like, okay, this is the one we're putting out. So that definitely, everybody has those ones where they're like, no, scrap that.
But then you have the ones where you're like, I'm just gonna put this out. It'll probably not do that well.
True.
But that's okay. And then all of a sudden you're getting like 100 million views.
And
You're
that's
like,
true. Yeah, you can't overthink it. Like there's, of course, like I would say don't be a perfectionist with it. Like try to put out your best. But sometimes it's like when you put things out, and even if you're not all the way confident in it, some people just love it. They eat it up. So you can't overthink it.
Okay, thank you. And my next question is, being in the forefront on social media, do you see more spiritual attacks with your family?
We always knew that. I was preparing my family before we even entered into the YouTube space, not knowing that we wouldn't just be entering into YouTube, but we'd be entering into Hollywood. And so one of the speeches that I gave my family is that just remember who you are. We don't ever want to compromise who we are. And so we always stay very prayed up. We start our day with worship. We all come together, we pray and ask God to guide us in all of our decisions.
We pray over every single one of our
Every single time. We pray, lay hands over everything.
We pray for our audience. We pray every step of the way. And I love that question, because how many people even actually go there? Because, we do focus on the trolls and things, but that is a form of spiritual attack.
Yeah.
Because how can we see one negative comment and then make that dominate our mind, even though you have 100 wonderful supportive comments, But yeah, we've gotten into situations where I think it was definitely spiritual, but on the flip side, I believe that we've been very protected.
Yeah, for the most part.
Because we've been intentional. Surprisingly though, probably the biggest spiritual attack is systematic suppression of family-friendly content, devaluing, either devaluing revenue or devaluing the algorithm for us. So we've had to fight that on that level, and I think a lot of people might think it's just reflective on us. Oh no, they just don't like your content. No, it's the same exact content, but there are, as soon as you see a certain contingency of people starting to really break out, all of a sudden you'll see this new policy being done, and then everybody goes back down, and then this other side starts to rise, and you're going, what is going on? And when you start to not take it personal and you understand what's going on behind the scenes, now you're just doing it based off of mission and purpose, so that now nothing will stop you.
There are people that do not want your children to sit down in front of safe television programming. They don't. And they're radically against it. And you see them coming up with all of these reasons why you gotta take these people off. There's a spiritual warfare going on. And they do not want your children having safe spaces. And so we always solicit prayers from believers. And another attack that we get is from church people. Ironically, another attack is from your own. And part of those attacks is because our content is not necessarily preaching. And what they want you to do is go up there and talk about Jesus Christ and lay holy hands on people in the Holy Spirit. While we'll do that in our private setting and spaces where that is acceptable, we understand that we have to create spaces for non-churchgoers and non-believers. So a lot of our content is not necessarily for Christian kids that are looking to hear a Bible story, but rather it's almost like a Cosby show where it's inspiring individuals to look, to behold and become changed and to be inspired. It's almost like when you look at the Obama family, you're looking and you're being inspired just by the way they're living as opposed to what's coming out of their mouth per se. And so we get a lot of backlash like, we can't play this in church. Well, we're not making it for church folks, we're actually making it for unbelievers as a bridge.
We haven't told some, they were like, yeah, we let our children watch you guys in church, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Don't do that.
Pay attention to the word. Any other questions? Oh. Wrap it up? Is that, yeah, sorry. I can't see with the lights. So I know that, but we can always ask me after. But thank you guys very much for, sitting with us for this hour. We hope that we were able to convey to you that, homeschooling, we support all of you guys. Our journey was bumpy, it was up and down, but at the end of the day, it will work out because it's not, it's more the intention behind it, it's the energy behind it, and then for those people of faith, it's the faith behind it. It will work out, you're where you're supposed to be, and your children will get to where they need to be.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.